So perhaps I can explain first of all why the corniche. Uh, for a lot of reasons. The first one is that it's really my favorite place in Casablanca because it's like an open window on the other side. So it's very poetic for me. What is the other side? For young people, it's abroad. For others, is the unknown. And for me, it's an open window on my society and my Casablanca as I see them. I was born here, but I left Casablanca when I was very young, and with my father we went to a lot of cities around the country, and then we came back to Casablanca about 88, and we was living in a Ain Diab, and which is funny, and then more than 20 years later, I came back to that neighborhood to work there. But the coast starts here and goes until that neighborhood. Okay, so this is one of the first thing is that my favorite place. The second reason, it's because it tells us a lot about our relationship with the consumption, the place of women, and the change that I have observed the last 10 or 15 years about our relationship with the architecture, and because this coast tells us a story about how the Casablancais live at night, because it's a very known nightlife. Tells us a lot about it can be a place where every social couche, les classes sociales, social classes can meet here. And then because I wanted to show you that amazing marabout saint that we will try to visit. There is a tomb, that guy, that legend called Sidi Abderrahmane, and until now he's sacred for a lot of people in Casablanca, so people come here to visit and to ask him things. So they pray, and the majority of the person that came here are women, because they ask for fertility, they ask for marriage, they ask for money, and then it's a holy, really holy place. And which is very paradoxal is that we will try to go there. It's a café, and from there you can see there is a triangle, of three temples. There is a temple of consommation, which is that amazing and big thing of the mall, which is the 21st century. Le temple de la consommation here. You have a temple of God, because we have this amazing mosque we don't see because it's foggy. And here you have that temple of women, of fortune tellers, of imaginaire collectif. So I like that kind of triangle that says a lot about us. I think as society, here as women, but as Casablanca, because Casablanca is for me, it's like the essence. It can tell you a lot of all the country. Voila, we will try to. So there are people living there. There is about, I think, 55 persons still living there. And the majority of them live from telling fortune. They are fortune tellers, and they read in the, alors comment on dit, the plomb. It's a liquid. When you throw it in water, it's liquid, and then it's became every woman is a different form and shape. Then the fortune teller reads in that form. Some cases she gives you the water where she throw the metal.
Wash with
And there is a lot of sacrifices also here. You can come with a cock or chicken or something and ask for that great marabout, that great saint, which is a guy, that came in. There is a lot of story about him, but he came from Baghdad with his boat. Il a échoué on that island, and then he was very close to God, very generous and a good person. And then when he died, they built that saint. For the bridge, Sidi Abderrahmane was an island. And the thing is that cannoli, chambre à air, yes, big tires with a piece of wood, and then you can, yes, it was little boat of fortune. You can pay like about 5 dirham, 5 dirhams. Everyone can cross to the other side and come back. When it was low tide, you could walk. When they built that ugly thing that's totally, il écrase, very dominant. A Moroccan director called Nargis Njar. She produced a movie here with women here and as characters of the movie called Wake Up Morocco, I think, something like that. Et c'est un côté, je sais même pas how we can translate like une espèce de cours des miracles ici. But for me, it's more poetic than it's music, parce que there is a lot of, on peut l'utiliser comme métaphore, la cour des miracles, and un lieu qui réunit strange people. And when you say strange, you can put a lot of things. Tu vois. That's why I love, because it's very popular. And the pop culture, because it's a kind of popular culture, actually is not very, it's not in the mood of the times. We prefer contemporary art, we prefer Art Deco Casablanca more than this very popular culture. And for me, which is very constitutive of Casablanca. Not the urban one, not the contemporary, but the popular one. All the beach is like that, all the beach. If you come in the summer, you don't find your place here, because there is now a tramway that comes until here from very far neighborhood, and that's why it became one of the most visited places in the city. I think that every Casablanca, everyone in the city has a story with that place. The beach makes Casablanca open, and which is very, it's the Atlantic, but in the same time Morocco is the Mediterranean country. So I feel la Méditerranée, even if we are in Casablanca, I really feel it here, even if it's l'Atlantique. In how les Casablancais live, how they act with the beach, what they eat. So it's Atlantic, but in the same time there is a way of living which is very Mediterranean. And I also like that space because people and animals live together, and I love that idea of humans and animals sharing, dogs, chickens living together. Yeah, I like that, and I like that idea, tu vois. Vraiment, t'as des poules, on est dans quelque chose half rural and half urban. So there is, on Ramadan, for example, you find a lot of Moroccan families coming all over the beach with tables and tea and how to eat. They break the fast here all around the beach. Families with music, and they break the fast in front of the sunset, which is very romantic for me. How to mix romanticism and religion. So that noise, I also like that here. Forget the city and the noise of the city. So when I want to forget the noise of the city, I always come here. It's now open to the beach, and not more than 6 or 7 years ago, that beach, and let's say it was dangerous for us as women. Very aggressive, dominated by men, all kind of men playing football, selling drugs, very aggressive. It was their territory, exactement. And it was for us, even not, you cannot think to come here. And a lot of stories about women being raped or violent here. But 7 years ago, probably because of that promenade, probably because of another space that I will show you, things, and probably because the society is changing. And so we were always afraid to go there, but now they are obliged to stay at that site and only in the morning. And then when there is a lot of people on the beach, they have to leave. So during COVID, during the lockdown, which was totally absurd, the beach was closed. Yeah, the beach was closed. They closed the beach. This is the hypocrisy of the government. I was telling you about how it was the main territory because there is a lot of football players. So one of the artwork that changed my point of view on that man is Les Hommes de la Plage de Zulekha Ben Abdullah. So Zulekha, which is she's Algerian, Moroccan now. For me, she's Moroccan, but she's Algerian. And she created that video called Les Hommes de la Plage, Men of the Beach. And she put camera on the beach during a football match. So, and it was a black and white image is with slow motion. And then it was a very sensual, a woman looking at that guys in a very sensual way and very aesthetic way. So it slowed down during 20 minutes and black and white. And at that time, I started, me too, looking at them exactly the same way. Because for me, they were dangerous. It was beep, beep, danger. But after that artwork, I started to look at them differently, and to feel more safe on the beach. So we will start another part of the Corniche with a lot of restaurants, swimming pools, and that life started during the French occupation because they were not only French, French, Italians, and they were looking for a place where un lieu de villégiature, where they can have cool moments. So they built a lot of swimming pools all across the Corniche. You will see them. Some of them are still open, but others are closed. It was Kontiki Beach swimming pool, very, very famous in Casablanca. And it closed, I think, around 20 years ago. The last years on the social medias, from time to time, you see a picture of women in that swimming pool organizing something like Miss Casablanca, Miss something like that, and women with the swimming suits. And you see, oh, look how was Morocco 100 years before. Ben oui, il te disait, regardez, look at Morocco, it was more developed, more free. But it's totally false, because it was a place only for French and bourgeoisie. The majority of Morocco was d'abord in the mountains, but and the rural. And my grandmother was ma grand-mère, elle était avec le crabe. C'était, you can see only the eyes. Perhaps my mom started to go, but because it's another story. The majority of women were at house preparing and taking care of kids, not on the beach. I mean, it was a minority. You can see how a society moved is women. And of course there is a lot of things to do and to get better, but it's getting very, very fast, really. And our presence on the beach is a proof, But I always You don't know, you don't see, you don't care. So you can say no. You can say I don't agree without fear. That's why I'm always optimistic about that generation. I hope that the change is starting by less and less fear of the authority. Now, point about that paradoxal city, it's here in the Corniche you can see in the same time la richesse et la misère in the same place. For example, big cars and very poor guys washing the cars. You can see very like women dressed or men with the brands, etc. And the little poor man selling, for example, roses or Kleenex or see. Casablanca life de consommation is the opening of the first McDonald's. Yeah. Imagine it was like exactly as when it opened in Russia, for example. It was something like people coming from other cities to take their first junk food, but at that time, and it was the beginning of the end of everything. Of Corniche, there is two promenades, you know. There is that one, and it can go until the, and then there is another one going like, there is, you got like that, and then the mosque, and another one. And socially it's very interesting, because here is more social mixed. You can meet different classes. But when you go to the other one, the other promenade, when you go, tu sais, celle qui donne, closer to the mosque, because it's in front of a popular neighborhood which is L'Ain, and l'ancienne Médina and the old city, even if la promenade totally changed, and it's interesting to see how all along the same beach you can see the city differently. The Casablanca always try to have a cultural, visible scene, because everything started, for me, the independent and the contemporary started in Casablanca. Everything started here, and then it's like, and there is a time where it's switch off. A lot of reasons. And for me, there is one, perhaps we can look on that reason, is that Casablanca first is too big, you know. Casablanca is there is a lot of different audiences, two different audiences. You cannot create one festival or one event for all Casablanca. It does not exist. Let's say event of Paris, it does not exist. There is a lot of big events, but for different audiences. And here in Casablanca, we are still acting if it's one city, one audience. Of course not. We have to imagine, go to something like proximity. What can we create for that part of the city? Then can gather, tu vois, other audience, but don't try to have one thing for all the city. And we had that for more than 10 years. Not enough for a big city that this one, for sure, but enough to create dynamic. But now I don't see the dynamic anymore. Perhaps, ou alors je me dis, I am too old to see what's happening in the new underground.